Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, y'all?
What's going on, beautiful people?
Welcome
Hello,
to a
hello, hello.
very special episode of Watching Thrones. And as you can see, as promised, we have delivered a very special guest. Y'all know him and love him as young Laenor Velaryon, but his real name, y'all, is Theo Nate. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you for doing this, man. We really do appreciate you stopping by. Now, about a month ago, we had Steve Toussaint, you know, who played your father on the show, Sea Snake, and now we got his son, and we got a lot to talk about, man. A lot of questions to ask you, man. He dropped some real jewels on us, so you gotta
Oh, the
outdo him.
pressure's on. The
Oh yeah,
pressure's on.
It
you
really
gotta
is.
outdo him. Now, this month, I don't know if you know, but like here in America, this is Black History Month.
Okay.
Uh, where we celebrate all things Black history, and you yourself made history uh, as the first, you know, Black person to ride a dragon. That's that's history within itself. That's one of the things I wanted to, start off with, man. As a matter of fact, let me just show them. This is one of my favorite clips of it.
Look at him go. Look at him go. Mm. Mm.
Man, so like when that happened, the 12-year-old me jumped off the couch. You know, the like again, representation matters is like that's something like we had never seen, never heard,
Mm.
like how was that? Like the whole making of that scene, like what all did that entail? I mean, we know you didn't ride a real dragon, of course, but like what all did that scene entail?
You mean from production side, behind the scenes?
Yeah, behind the scene.
Yeah. So essentially, it was like half a day. And with this giant book, and you get on, and it's set like programmed like a roller coaster. So it lasts for like a minute, and they program it to spin left, right, up, down, and you kind of get directed on it on essentially how it will, what you're essentially meant to be seeing. Because obviously, we're in a big studio, and there's a guy with a leaf blowing it in your hair, and you just like you can barely breathe. It's mad. But honestly, it's one of the best things I've ever done. So good.
And so wait,
And then,
so if it was like a roller coaster, that means that woo was like genuine, right? Like
see that's
like
the thing. There's been everyone's been obsessed with that. There's been literally everyone I see asks me about that constantly. And the funny
really?
thing about it is, I think I've said this before in a different podcast. The funny thing about it was, I done it, I improved it, and I got told that it wouldn't make the cut. Like it was not like it wouldn't make the cut. Essentially, said it was too modern. That was the direction I got. It said too modern. Essentially, Miguel, who's just a genius, by the way, he basically gave me a note and he was like, "Look, Laenor loves war, so when he's on the dragon, really enjoy it and just see what comes out." And that was what came out. And essentially, when we done a few takes like that, and then Miguel went back, and because it's a massive studio that we're filming this in. Then Miguel goes back behind the cameras. I think he's watching it back, and then he speaks to Ryan, who's the showrunner. And then I seen them from a distance talking, And I'm thinking, oh, what are they saying? Because after you do a take, if like the director runs off and they're kind of like talking about something, you think they're obviously talking about what you've done. So they were talking, and next thing, then Ryan said something, and then Miguel comes back and he says, "I really like the woo, but it feels a bit modern, a bit too modern." And we done something else and tried different things. But I literally remember sitting on that dragon thinking, in a year's time when I watch the show, I feel like that's going to be in it. And then everyone else watched the show, like, waiting for the dragon, and I was sitting there like that, like 3, 2, what? Yes.
That's got to be like, one hell of a feeling, once you seeing it on screen like that. Now, I now you were only on episodes 3 and 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, also you was also part in that scene. We talked about this on the recap that we did, like the plan that you guys came up with, to with Damon and all of that. Like you are a very strategic guy, like this warrior, strong willed guy, kind of like the Sea Snake himself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but to see, you portray that part, and then to kind of see like what he became in the later episodes, did you sit back and look like man, they really changed, who he was.
Uh, it's a weird thing because you don't really have much discussion behind the scenes or something. Essentially, I got the job in like March of 2021, and then I started filming in August of that year. So like 6 month gap between getting the job and filming, and then in that process, the 6 months, you kind of get your scripts sent to you, and you're told when you might go back and forth for some costume stuff, but essentially you don't really have any dialogue with anyone. Maybe a text or two with the director, but not like nothing in terms of character or where you're building on what you're going for or any ideas you have. It's kind of like you just go away and do your work and turn up on the day and do it. So in terms of that, I wasn't surprised going forward that there was a massive change in the character shift. Sorry, in the character's arc, because it was just I felt throughout the whole process that you kind of what's the way you're like an independent. Well, essentially you're an actor, you're an independent contractor. But I felt like going in, you turn up, you do your work, you do it, and then they tweak it, maybe say yes to this, no to this, and then you go from there. So then when I watched from episode 5 to episode 7 or whatever it was, yeah, episode 5 to episode 7, the gap in the character, I was kind of like, I didn't really know what to expect. But then when I seen it, I think it must make sense because he's gone through a lot. But then that's from there then onwards. That's John's work. What John wanted to do with it. Do you know what I mean? So again, I couldn't really predict any of it.
So you were just watching. You were a fan, basically, like us.
Yeah, well, yeah. I knew what happened from episode 1 to 5, and then from 7 to 10, I didn't even get the scripts for that. Sorry, 6 to 10, I didn't even get the scripts for that. So essentially, I seen John once in the canteen, and you kind of like, I was like, and he was like, ah, and we had a conversation. But I think he was the one who told me what even happens to the character, because obviously in the books you get an idea, but there's nothing to say that that's gonna be the exact narrative for the script.
Speaking of the books, did you read them before you came in, or
No,
did
there's
you
too
just
many. No, and plus for me as well, I'm the type of person. If I read the books, it'll just be in my head then, and there's nothing worse as an actor. You can't be in your head. You have to be in the moment, as present as you can. So that would have just been in my head. And the thing is as well, in terms of the books, if you let that, for me personally, if I let that get in my mind, there's so many opinions on that as well. Like if you go on any fan website, like my friends sometimes send me links, I like different fan websites and stuff like that, and everyone's got their own opinion because they're so passionate about the project. So whether it's a character or an arc or anything to do with it, every fan seems to have a different opinion. So for me, I was like, if I go down that rabbit hole, you won't be able to do your own work.
Yeah, that's kind of similar to what Steve said. Like he didn't read the book himself. Now, Another thing I want to ask you. Well, you were actually a part of probably the two of the best scenes of the whole series. Of course, you riding the dragon, and then the whole wedding scene, right?
Oh wow, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Like, from the walk in, like, and we talked about this earlier, like the way you guys walked in and like stole the whole show. This is like, the biggest, best, blackest entrance of any show we've seen. And you were, front and center. Matter of fact, you was like right in the middle of that walk in. But like that wedding scene, the whole dance that you guys did, like, did y'all wing that shit, or was it, choreographed?
It was that bad. It looked like we winged it. No, um, we choreographed it for I don't know how long. We didn't have a lot of rehearsal time, but we definitely spent hours with a dance choreographer and going back and forth. And yeah, it wasn't easy, to be honest. But you can't. Oh, but the thing is as well, you kind of don't see too much of the dance in the actual episode, because obviously trying to tell a story, you need to get everyone's reactions in, and everyone's telling their own story, so you don't actually get to see much of the dance. But yeah, the dance took a while to get down, and then we think we shot it for like a day or two, just
Okay.
that bit.
Like I say, Theo, we're huge Game of Thrones like fans. I heard that you were one too, and so when we got to the wedding scene, we were all like, "Well, shit, something's about to happen. Something's about to go down."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
when your character essentially loses the love of his life in a flash of an instance, like just like that, what kind of mindset that you have to go into in order to like go from just like happy-go-lucky wedding to all of a sudden this jarring thing just happened in the blink of an eye for your character?
The mindset. You know, it's a funny one, because that was one of the biggest things in the audition that I got asked, and it's essentially a thing of there's this big scene. We like everything else you've done, type of thing. How are you with emotional scenes? Can you do it, type thing? And I'd never done one. Well, this is only my second screen job anyway, but I'd never done one. But there's always that underlying feeling as an actor. You're like, oh, if that ever came up, could I do it? And for me, I always thought, yeah. But then it's so different on the day when the camera's there and there's hundreds of people, and you're like, right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's something that I actually practiced for months, just because, again, I thought I always in my mind I was like, I'm a trained actor, of course I can do it.
Sure.
But then you still that underlying doubt, and you're like, but I don't want to find out I can't on the day. It'd be nothing worse. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
So yeah, the mindset, it's I don't know. It's just it's like you're in the headspace of the worst possible scenario, and I think if anyone put themselves in his shoes for, I don't know, for a few hours in the costume, in the great hall, and everyone's there dressed up, it's very hard not to believe it at that point. And then, yeah, do you know what? A funny story about that though. So when I was actually doing the scene, we done the wide first, and I went all out on the wide, because I said this was only my second screen job, so I didn't really know. I was like, the wide, but I'm thinking they're still gonna see it. And then I've gone all out on the wide. We do 2, 3 takes of that, maybe a little bit more, and then we go into the mid, and I'm exhausted. I'm thinking, oh, what have I done here? So we get to the mid, and the camera's got reset, obviously closer because it's the mid. And in the meantime, for some reason I hadn't had my lunch. I was starving. I hadn't had anything to eat. And then one of I forget his name. One of the lads anyway, he was like an assistant. I asked him for something to eat. I said, "Is there any chance you can get me something to eat?" Basically meaning when we break in like an hour, just so I can have something there rather than having to go wait for something. And he's like, "Yeah, cool." So he goes to get. I'm prepping for this scene. They're setting the cameras up, about to shoot in like 30 seconds. And you're there, and you don't really. For me personally, if I'm doing a scene like that, I kind of need to get in my own headspace, like to close the noise off. So I'll be sitting there like this, with my fingers in my ears, because the slightest thing, again, just for me, the slightest thing of someone might shout my name or something, I might hear something that puts me, and then I can't really get in the headspace. I have to restart my process again. I know it sounds like bougie or like proper weird, but yeah, that's I have to get in the mindset, and I have to be there for like a minute or so. And while I'm there, I'm right, I'm ready to go. And then I heard Claire Kilner, the director, who was just amazing. I heard her say, yeah, well, 30 seconds or a minute or something like that. So I thought, oh my God, I've timed this perfectly. And she was so good at just letting me be, and then basically setting myself and getting go when you're ready. And then this lad come back running through with his panini. And he's like, look, I've got your panini. And I'm like, oh, I was like, oh my God. And he's shouting my name. He's shouting, Theo, I've got your panini. I'm like, no, mate, no. So it kind of just threw me off. And then we had to like start again. It was like, it was the worst possible timing, but he meant well.
Yeah.
Well, at least they didn't shoot it and leave it in like Game of Thrones did with their Starbucks cup.
I know.
Right.
Like, how do you explain that? Now, kind of like staying with that scene and that character. Like you play a gay character who's not accepted at all. In that world. I mean, you even saw, how the sea snake reacted towards your lifestyle or whatever. Like how did you process that whole character arc? Like did it, what? How did you attack that role, knowing that, hey, this guy isn't accepted?
I don't think I ever thought about the feeling of him not being accepted, because in my mind, I was never playing a gay character. I don't even know how I would prepare if that was the mindset going in. I was playing a character who is attracted to this individual, and you go from there the same way in real life I'd be attracted to this individual. Or do you know what I mean? I don't think I could go in with the mindset of I'm playing a gay character, so this is what I'd have to do. I don't think that'd work. You'd see it look fake a million miles off. So for me, going into it, I always felt like he was accepted, especially with who his dad is, and I'm a dragon rider. I'm a good warrior.
Sure.
Maybe I've got different preferences, but other than that, it's not really a problem. And also as well, Laenor, for me, I always seen him as he's so brave, man. Like he's there, he's what, 18, 19, he's plotting around the table. He's on the back of the dragon, he goes to war. It's not his first time, he's done this before. And also the way he carries himself, he's not, even in the wedding, you see bits where he's kind of like ducking and diving, and you see him with Joffrey over there, and you see him doing this. So he's not ashamed of who he is. And I actually think sometimes, in the pops of my mind, I think, say if Corlys was the king, I don't think he'd care at all. I don't think Laenor would be bothered about what anyone thought about him. So yeah, for me, I always thought he's a brave character anyway, and I never saw it as something or as somebody who was like outcast or anything like that.
Okay, Celeste, you gotta.
I do. So piggybacking off of who won't see smoke with us over there, and bringing up the fact that you are already a huge fan of Game of Thrones, and this is kind of away from the actual being a part of the acting of the show. How did it feel when you got that call, knowing you had this love for the ethos of Game of Thrones, when you got the call to tell you were going to be a part of House of the Dragon?
Oh, it was amazing. It's do you know what? I say this all the time. Sometimes I think I forgot that I was even in it. Like it's because it feels so far detached when you're not there, but then it feels like everything when you are. If that makes sense. Like if you walk in and you see like the throne room and the costume and stuff like that, you go wow. But then when you leave there and I come back to me house, like I live in Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? So like obviously you probably don't know much about that, but it's like a very working class city in the northwest of England. You know what I mean? London's like a different space, and then to go like in the mindset of eating Game of Thrones, like the biggest TV show in the world. So for me, it was just madness. But then I've told this story before as well. The first thing I done was I went and told my friends, and like one of them's a massive Game of Thrones fan as well, and he didn't know that there was going to be a prequel. So initially, when I was telling him I was in the prequel, he was like congratulating me, and he was made up for me. And then afterwards, after a few weeks or months even it was, he said to me once he'd seen me going filming and he found out there actually was a show on. He said to me, "Oh, I'm so glad it was actually the right show." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "When you told me, because I'm a fan, I didn't know there's a prequel, so I didn't want to tell you that you're not in Game of Thrones, you're in something else. You've got a role in a show that's maybe similar, but it's not Game of Thrones." But yeah, it was just I'm even now I'm stuttering. It was surreal.
It's awesome, man. Shit. Like, but you living out our dreams, my brother.
Right.
Living out our dreams, man.
like I would kill for just one line in one episode.
Yeah,
Okay,
it has to be like a super black ass line. I just gotta, just some like Ice-T shit from like Law and Order,
Okay.
Like for that's an amazing thing, man. Because like you said that's like your second, screen job. For it to be something that big, says a lot about you as an actor and how you had to go in that audition and just blow it out of the water. Now, and again, you are a fan of Game of Thrones. Did you have any idea that House of the Dragon would be as big as it was?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
When I read the script, when I read because everyone attached to it is just so good. Do you know what I mean? These things aren't mistakes. Like, and I'm not like trying to talk about myself. I'm talking about Miguel and Ryan and even the other actors in it. Everyone's just so good. So like when you're standing there, you look and you go, you never know for sure, but you look and you think this is gonna be pretty good. Again, you can't guarantee anything, but when you look around the room, you think, if I'm a betting man, mate, I'll throw some money on this being okay. So I don't know. And again, when I read the scripts, like the scripts are really good, and that's, for an actor, that's everything. So many times you read the script and you think, oh, do you know what I mean? You're always looking for that
right.
I always say, like, when you get a script and you don't have to do anything other than speak, just let the words fall off your tongue and it does it for you. That's the best, and that's what Game of Thrones is. That's what the writing is. You don't have to do it. It does it itself. You're just kind of there.
That makes sense. Theo, I had a question. Just off your knowledge of Game of Thrones, just the original series. Did you compare yourself to any of the original characters, or as far as your character or the character you played? Because Laenor, well, to me personally, he seemed to be more of almost of a Jon Snow character, where like maybe Jon Snow didn't court war as much as your character did, but it seemed like the closer your character gets to absolute power, the more he resented it. Do you agree with that as far as a certain sentiment? Yeah.
I get the analogy, definitely. I'd actually compare him more to Arya.
Okay.
In a way, just because I reckon if you've seen more of him when he was younger, you'd have seen him a bit more mischievous, a bit more in and out of trouble. Can't really tell him what to do. He does what he wants. Because essentially that's the personality you need if you're going to stand there with all these warriors at the age of 18, 19 and tell them, like, this is what we're going to do. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of personality. So I get the Jon Snow side, where he's like a noble man and he tries to do what's right. He's probably a mix of both. And then the mischievous side of, yeah, I can jump on a dragon and just burn people alive. What? He's going to do anything. Yeah, he's got that in him as well. Do you know what I mean? And that is kind of more the Arya of, like, he's mischievous. She believes in herself. She was always in and out of trouble with Ned and winded up her sisters and stuff like that. So maybe a mix of both.
Well, speaking of characters, did your character not like your Uncle Vayman as much as we did?
Yeah, he doesn't like him. Talks too much.
Exactly. He fucking just talks too much. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Runs his loose lips, sink ships. That's what it is.
Exactly. Because like you look at we go back to that scene in the Stepstones, right? and like you on the board, you got the pieces, you laying the plan out, and he's whining and bitching about it, and
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact line that you said to him, but the look that you gave him was basically like, man, I'm sick of your shit. I'm
Yeah, I'm
sick of
trying to
it.
think of the line myself now. Master of complaints.
Yeah, that's
Master
what
complaints.
the
That's
master
it. That's the
complaints.
one.
Master of complaints. Yeah, it literally is. But the thing is, as well, there's nothing wrong with complaining if you have a backup plan. He didn't. His thing was, let's just complain about yours, and that's it. So we'll be here for another few years if that's the case.
Right. And I also noticed in that scene, like, your character shows like a strong reverence. Well, I wouldn't say strong, but like a healthy amount of respect for Daemon Targaryen.
Mm.
Like how 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 was that relationship? Because like, we saw on the screen you laying out the plan, right? And we went back and forth about this, on the recap. Was him, going into the caves like he did? Was that something that like y'all, worked out amongst yourself, him and Lenora, or did it just happen like that? Because like, we were talking back and forth about it, and it was like, well, they talked about how the crab feeder would go back into the caves, and then you're telling this plan, but like we never really see that part about Damon. It just happens where then you just come out of nowhere on Sea Smoke. Like, was that something y'all
Yeah,
worked out?
yeah. But you know what? It's a weird thing. I think for Laenor, he knows Damon's personality, and then also you compile that with the fact of the letter that Damon receives to say his brother's coming to save him, which is the last thing he wants. So you put them two together, and it kind of just falls into place. In terms of the actual plan, I think Laenor did. It was Laenor's plan, which he probably gets no credit for, to be honest. It was Laenor's plan, and he come up with it, and but then Damon kind of executes the plan down to a T without even hearing it really, because he's not there when they're talking about it. Then he
Yeah.
comes down, doesn't he, and he kind of just does stuff. And then yeah, Laenor comes on the dragon and just ends it all. But I don't think I never had it in my mind that they talk about it backstage. They talk about it before they go in, because Damon's flying around, isn't he? He's not even at the table when they're talking. So yeah, for me, it was kind of just a happy accident type of thing.
You said something like you came up with the plan and you didn't get credit for it. That's typical. Brothers come up with the idea, and the man gets goddamn credit for it.
But at least we didn't die first. At least we didn't die first, you know?
Right. So you know what? Let's slide to the comments, man. We're live and we've been getting a lot of comments. The lady's been having a lot to say. We got Ray 4911. She said she loving this beard on Theo.
Yes, Ray. It took me a few months, this.
Then we got it's so many, man. Golly. Well, I'm going to let me ask you another question, man. That scene that you had with Millie on the beach, like that was a great scene, because like y'all working out y'all shit, y'all kids, and y'all seem to have more sense than Viserys and everybody else, in that moment. Like, walk me through that scene. Like, was a lot of it, written out for you, and this is how we gonna do it, or did y'all like, add your own spin to it? Because it was a great thing.
In terms of the lines?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh no, the lines are the lines. Like the lines are the lines. But yeah, it's you know what? It's aesthetically, in terms, or visually, sorry, it's my favorite scene. I just think the way Claire shot it, or the way Claire directed it. Sorry, it was gorgeous with the background and the footprints on the sand, and yeah, it was really well shot. In terms of the scene itself, I just remember it being so hot. Oh my god, roasting, and you're wearing like this. I don't even know what it's called. It's a jacket, obviously, but it's like it's so thick, and then you got the big massive sword, and yeah, it was it was a really hot day. Um, but the scene itself, yeah, there's not much planning. Oh, sorry, there's not much alterating that you can do in terms of lines because and you don't need to. It's as I say, it's so well written that you can just have to look at it and it does the job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that were actually a lot of great well-written scenes. Celeste, you got a question for?
Well, I was just gonna say you forgot to mention that the ladies were also losing it over the accent, and I wanted to ask him where he's from.
They're losing it over my accent. Oh yeah, I'm a Scouser. I'm from Liverpool. Same place as the Beatles.
Yeah, like because I noticed where you went to Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts, correct?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was what co-founded by John McCartney. I'm sorry,
Paul
Paul
McCartney.
McCartney.
Yeah.
I was also about to ask you just in terms of that whole thing. Like, so you go to this well-established institute, and this is your second real acting gig. Does anything prepare you for the cutting floor? Meaning that like certain scenes that were cut that you were in, and you were probably like you walked away from that like, man, I killed that shit, and then you find out during the final edit or during the episode that it actually didn't make it to the episode. Were there any scenes in particular that sort of stood out that were cut?
No, not in terms of cut as a whole. There's,
Okay.
I think I've mentioned this before. In terms of there's scenes that are shot, or scenes that are shot like as a whole, and they kind of cut away from you in a way, or you've done something. I had a little bit of that, and I thought, oh, I wish that bit would have been in. That would have been in, but not in terms of a whole scene. Because as I say, do you know what? Again, it's down to the writing. The writing's so good. You don't when it's that good, you don't need to chop scenes as a whole. A little bit. There's a scene on the beach with Joffrey that I think the end of it got cut, maybe about 30 seconds, because that was longer.
Mm-hmm.
But as a whole, as I say, it's more just shaving stuff down because the episode would end up being about 4 hours if you had everything in. I mean, we'd watch it. That's the worst part. We'd all watch it.
Oh yeah. Let me just throw this out real quick. You from Liverpool. It's a huge time difference. I just want to say to people watching, for those of you watching it,
Wait, where are you? What time is it there?
It is 8 a.m. Well, it started at 8 a.m. here.
Oh, mate, no way. I didn't even. Do you know what? I didn't even think. Whereabouts are you?
It didn't matter, man. Like if goddamn Laenor want to pull up on Sea Smoke, then we gonna get up and
we're gonna get our asses up.
Yeah,
right.
Speaking of which, those who watching, tell all your friends who can't watch and still want to listen. They can listen to us live right now on BWNC radio app. So go ahead and download that so y'all can listen. But yeah, man, we didn't matter, man. Like if you wanted to come in whatever time, we had already talked about it. Like if he said he can do it at this time, then that's what it's gonna be, man. But we have a strong following, people, love what we're doing. So they in the comments now, like ready for it. So again, no matter what time it is, we appreciate you doing it.
Oh, thank you. I didn't even think. Whereabouts in America are you based?
So I'm in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And I think Leslie
I'm in Florida.
and Celeste. Oh, Leslie's in Georgia and Celestial's in Florida.
Yeah,
I went to Florida when I was about 10.
Yeah, like I'm in Atlanta, so
And we got somebody tuning in. They said it's 6 a.m. in California, and they are on. They came on just to hear you. So
no way. Thank you so much.
Like you have a listen, man. There aren't many black people in that realm, so The ones that are there, you have a pretty strong following amongst us, except for Vayman. We don't really fuck with Vayman, but everybody else.
Y'all gonna stop hating on Vayman.
Vayman told it like it is. I mean, he got his fucking head cut off for it, but he told it like it was.
He did.
So let me go back to some of the people, the questions in the comments that have questions. We had one question from Celeste Williams, and she said, if you could be any other character in House of the Dragon, which one would it be?
Daemon. Daemon had the most fun. Like, Daemon has such a good time, doesn't he? He's got no morals. He's free as a bird. He just does what he wants whenever he wants. They're the kind of characters that they're the most fun to play.
Personification of white privilege. Go ahead.
Yeah. You made me knock my camera over. Yeah, Daemon kind of just he's a lord unto himself, isn't he? The level of freedom he's got.
And I think a lot of people would probably say that. Because you're right. He pretty much does what he wants to whoever he wants, whenever he wants. From killing people to, gallivanting all over Flea Bottom, all type of shit. He living his life. We had another question from Jamila. She asks, who's the class clown of the cast, or is everybody pretty serious all of the time?
Oh, no, no one's serious all the time. Class clown. Do you know what the weird thing is? There's only so many actors. Well, not so. In the wedding, you get to see everyone, and you get to be around everyone. I'd actually say people always say Reese, but I didn't really work at Reese. I met him once outside the makeup room, who plays Alison's dad. For my people who I worked with, I'd have to say Paddy. Paddy's great, man. The amount of times, like in between a take, you just hear Paddy start shouting in an Irish accent, just random stuff. It's just he's great. But everyone's fun to be around. Everyone's really good. Who else? Yeah, I'd go Paddy.
He seemed like a wild boy based off of some of the things I've seen. I mean, I think he's in a rock band or something like that. Like he's
Yeah, he is. I swear he played Glasgow last year. Joe Glastonbury. I swear, Joe Glastonbury.
No, really?
The music the music festival.
Yeah, like music festival. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in England. I think it's like one of, if not the biggest in the world. But he played it with his band, I think, last year.
So
I swear I've seen it on Instagram.
It's like the English version of Coachella.
Yeah, but like Coachella's a bit more bougie, innit? Like people go and look pretty. Whereas like in England, you go Glasgow to party, to hear music, do you know what I mean?
What we call Coachella bougie. I love it.
I love it.
Right.
So I want to jump in real quick. We affectionately call Steve Toussaint. He is Unc to us, right? And so now you are being dubbed Cuz, right? So you are officially a cousin of Watch Them Thrones. But we had a question, and someone asked it in the comments. That it's gone now. I can't see it. But Steve Toussaint received a lot of backlash once he was announced. Did you experience any of that once you got assigned the role?
Loads. It doesn't really bother me though. Like I come from a sporting background. I played sports growing up, like football, taekwondo, the martial arts. So when you come from that type of background, you hear so much stuff about yourself, or people shout stuff on the pitch, or so yeah, I definitely hear stuff, or I get sent stuff, and they'd say like about the casting or the skin color or the eye color. I heard one person say,
that bullshit.
But yeah, it doesn't bother me at all.
That's wild. And
Theo said, "Fuck him."
Right.
Shit.
It
Fuck them. I love it.
doesn't.
It's I would hate for somebody to run up on you knowing that taekwondo and martial arts, and then they say some crazy shit and you karate size their ass. Like that
Catch
would
these
be
hands. Catch
Shit
these
happens.
hands.
Catch these hands. Yes, sir.
oh you you wild, man. I think you would be somebody like we go hang out with and we be like, man, Theo doing too much, man. We might need to take it in early.
Do you know what? Right. I don't know. It depends. Sometimes, but not. We went on a few nights out as a cast. We went on one in Cornwall, and that was a good night. But you find me on the dance floor, man. That's just find me in the mix.
I fuck with Theo.
Yeah.
Right.
So listen, man, you got to come back. Like we are in the midst of doing a rewatch of Game of Thrones where we watch 2 episodes and then we recap them. Like you got to come back and recap with us once and just talk wild crazy shit because I think that'll be awesome. Now before we get out of here, man, I do want to ask you got any upcoming projects you want to promote, let us know about? Because like Celeste said, you cousin Theo now, so we gonna rock with whatever you doing, man.
I appreciate that, man. Not yet. I've been ill the past few months, so I haven't been taping for anything. But I'm back now, so over the next few months, I'll have something I'll have another job going soon. But yeah, I'll let you know when I do.
Oh yeah, make sure you let us know, and if you want to come back on and promote it and talk all about it, we gonna be right here for it, man. We're gonna be right here for it.
Thank you for having me. I've had fun, man. Thank you for having me.
Yo, Theo, so I'm happy you're feeling better, man. But I got to put you on the spot real quick, my brother. What your top 3 favorite Game of Thrones episodes? Come on, man.
Episodes?
Yeah.
Or
your top 3
okay.
Yeah.
Ooh. Do you know? I don't know the episode names.
Yeah.
Do you know the names?
You can describe them. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't want to go with the Red Wedding, but you think you probably have to, don't you?
You got to go Red.
Because it's not a favorite, but it's so fucking shocking that it's like you're like, oh my god, I hated that. Let me go to the next episode to see what happened. That's that thing, doesn't it? So the Red Wedding's one. What's the episode where Jon Snow gets killed at the end?
Oh yeah,
season 4, season 5.
Yeah, where he gets killed by the Night's Watch. Yeah, I forgot the name of the episode too, but
that's not Hard Home.
Season 5. What'd you say?
That's not Hard Home, is it?
No, Hard Home was a couple episodes before that.
Okay.
Remember when he brought in? Yeah, that was a crazy ass fucking episode too.
Do you know what's funny as well? When I was I only graduated from drama school in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were when we were training and stuff, we Game of Thrones season 7 or 6 maybe. One of them had just come out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was after like the 2-year break, and then one of them had come out. And then we'd basically come in and we'd be like discussing it. Like, everyone would be in the room, be talking about it. And essentially you sit there as a fan just with like so many opinions on, especially season 7, it gets a lot of abuse, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Season 7 and season 8, you get a lot of stick, and it's so different when you're not involved. Then you see how much work goes into these episodes and these shows. It's crazy. So I think it lends perspective. It definitely did for me. Just the amount of work, and you can't to get 7 seasons or 6 seasons of basically perfection, really. And then you get to 8 or 7, whichever one it was, and you kind of don't meet the same standards. But it's like it's so unattainable. I don't know. I say as a fan from afar, you think, oh, I wanted this. They should have done this. I should have done. But when you see the amount of work and the amount of effort that people put into these jobs, and it's amazing to me that they even had the 6, 7 seasons of that, because it's just so hard to do. Do you know what I mean? So I think for anything that always sticks in my mind, from the transition from being a fan with my mates talking about it having just a random opinion to actually being on set and seeing the work that goes in every day to make the episode. And then you got to think that's just one episode. Imagine making a season, then imagine making 7 or 8. It's just, honestly, it's mind blowing.
Man, I swear to God, you are wise beyond your years, because that was my goddamn follow-up question about, like, it's just as far as like, like I was going to ask you about, okay, now that you're a fan and now that you're in it, how does it feel to, like, do you have a different perspective on episodes on season 7 and 8, which are deemed the weaker seasons, but all the traveling that is involved and all of the shoots and I mean,
mate, honestly, as I say, to get 6 seasons of that high standard, I don't remember anyone complaining about season 1 to 6.
Yeah, no.
Do you know what I mean? No complaints. Right. But then you think it takes really hard. The wedding alone, we shot that for 2 weeks. It's like a 10 minutes, 15 minute scene.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
We shot that for 2 weeks. So then you think, what goes into making one episode? Then you've got 10 episodes in a season. It's just that's 60 episodes of perfection. It's mad.
And then, like, the amount of pressure that just built over the years, especially when more and more people started to gravitate towards it. It's yeah.
Well, every year you've got to go up and up and up.
Exactly.
Haven't you?
Yeah.
And that's just to remain the same.
And then you shoot past the actual material, the books, then you're just kind of, as showrunners, you're just kind of winging it, and everybody's just sort of, like they got to kind of write their own little fan fiction. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely winged it in season 8. It was more like fuck it rather than winging it.
Yeah. You know what? It's as I say, I'm repeating myself here, but it's so mad. I had that same opinion till you see the work that goes in.
Mm-hmm.
Then you kind of look and you go, you can't say nothing. It's literally 17, 18-hour days, and they're doing this for a year. Do you know what I mean? And you look at, I don't know. It just lends perspective. It's just
because that's even more grueling than shooting. I mean, you're essentially shooting like 7, 8 different movies. Because these episodes, because they're actually longer than movies. I mean, they're like 10-hour movies. For each.
Yeah,
season.
I remember Miguel saying that. He's like, I think we were talking one time. I swear he said something about he sees them all as individual movies. But then, think about this. Not only that, then think of season 1 of House of the Dragon is essentially 2 seasons in one.
Yes.
So episodes 1 to 5 that's a season on its own, and then it's like a whole new cast. Then you go from 6 to 10. So that's like 2 seasons in one. But everyone, I think fans, we just get carried away, don't we? And we're just like, give me it, I want it now. You want the satisfaction of this amazing standard, but it's really hard to attain. But thankfully,
yeah, you're right, because when we were doing the recaps of House of Dragon, there were some complaints about the time jump, and I was like, well, shit, this is what the material is, and they're still making it digestible for us to track. But people were still like, oh, where's the like the time jump? And people were sort of complaining about people going from sort of young adults to grown adults. So hey, man.
And not only that, you've got to get actors who look similar, or you can at least believe it's the same person. It's honestly, it's a wild job.
Yeah. Yep.
I will say they did us an injustice, man. You should have had more than 2 episodes.
Yeah,
especially after talking to you.
You know what? I always knew I liked you. I always knew I liked you.
But they could have, like you said, 1 through 5 could have been a season within itself.
And that could have been fleshed out for 10 episodes rather than just 5. Yeah,
100%, 100%. I think maybe, I don't know. I think even if you look and go flesh that out for 10 episodes, that leaves you with probably 2-3 more seasons you have to do on top of the 3 or 4 you've already got planned.
True.
And everyone's just tired. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's like we forget that it's human beings doing a job.
Mm-hmm.
Like the people, 18-hour days, they're away from the family, they're traveling up and down the country to different countries to film. It's just, and it's not, you can't complain about it because it's the best job in the world. But sometimes you do just have to check in and go, yeah, we wanted this, but is it really attainable? House of the Dragon season 1, I thought, did meet every box you could ask to be ticked, but I just referred into the last few seasons of Game of Thrones. That's just something that I say to my mates all the time. Like, I had the same opinion of it until you see the work that goes in, and there's nothing you can say.
I feel that. Your perspective is definitely different from ours. Watching through the lens of just a fan versus somebody who's, going through all that shit. But even with that said, season 8 is terrible as fuck. It's still terrible.
Come on, man. It's not. You know what? Like, come on, TK.
Wait. Compared to what though? Wait,
Yeah,
compared to what?
exactly. The expectations of what we had for that shit was like astronomical and through the roof. I mean,
Do you know what it's like saying? It's like saying, I don't know, I'm not a basketball fan, but it's like saying Michael Jordan at 40 wasn't as good as he was at 25, 26, 27. Of course he's not. Do you know what I mean? It's not. He set a standard that's not attainable. It's only, and the thing is, he's being judged by his own standards.
I don't like Michael Jordan as much as I don't like.
Yeah, I was about to say you actually barked up the wrong tree. You know what? Like you should have.
I can't win with this guy, man. I can't win.
A football analogy, Theo. You should have done
football. What, like football, English football?
Yeah, like like so you go English football. That's why I was. Yeah, that's what I was.
Oh wait, do you watch footy?
I've watched a little bit, man. My son played a little bit, so I started trying to learn the game.
Best game in the world.
But back to season 8. Let me just say this.
Go on. This guy is cooking us. Go on.
Well, I guess
don't pay him no attention.
I guess because of the book, like it. I don't think we got the payoff that we deserve for the loyalty that we put into it. That's all I'm gonna say. Because, like, you had the whole situation with Jon being, a Targaryen. Like, they wasted a lot of great shit.
But like TK, they didn't have the fucking books. That's the thing about it. You're talking about your books. Like, they didn't even have the book. I mean, George R. R. Martin is still writing Winds of Winter and Dream of Spring. Like, so they're going off literally. It was an uphill battle for the showrunners to do when they got past the books. And I thought they did a good job, regardless.
That's the thing, but you're judging it against their own standards. Do you know what I mean? So then at that point, what can you do? It's not like you're judging it against another show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like what other show got fucking dragons and fucking like geopolitical implications and dragons?
I feel like your glass is half empty, innit?
I'm just saying, man, being a Starbucks cup.
Oh,
Lord. They got lazy on us, man.
Okay. But also, go on.
Again, I do understand your point of view, and I have the utmost respect for your point of view in that, because again, you seen it from behind the scenes and understand what all goes into it. But as a fan, let me just be honest, we don't give two shits about that.
That's what I was gonna say.
We want what we want, how we want it, and goddamn it, they didn't give it.
Yeah, we're spoiled.
Yeah, that is the thing. But yeah, one thing I would say, I think you've used the wrong terminology. I can't have you saying they got lazy. Trust me, no one behind them scenes is lazy. That's one thing you can't say. We'll agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree. Man, I'm kind of loving his back and forth. It's like fucking family fighting.
I wasn't even the show either. Do you know what I mean? It's not even my show.
Hey, right, exactly. Cousins fight, man. Cousins disagree.
Cousins fight, yeah. That's it, man. I'm still coming to the cookout.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bring some bangers and mash. Is that what it's called?
That's not what. No.
They don't eat that.
Oh, goddamn, my bad.
No, to be fair, the UK hasn't got dishes like that, really. Hasn't really got any. The dishes aren't great, but we move.
Well, look, cuz just pull up. We'll give you some collard greens and cornbread, and we got you. You know.
Oh yeah, all that good stuff. I'm in the mix.
But seriously though, man, I don't want to hold you up, because I know you got a life to live and all of that, and I could diss season 8 for another hour nonstop. So I'm gonna leave it alone.
Don't get him started.
Yeah, but again, what I do want to do is again tell you thank you, man. For coming by. We do appreciate it, man. Like you helping to add, legitimacy to what we doing here which is, we are a safe space for, Black folks who love Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon and fantasy and things like that. One of our co-hosts not here, but he said we like dragons and shit too. So, you coming on, man, is really huge for us. So again, thank you so much.
Oh no, thank you for having me, man. I've had a blast.
We appreciate you, man.
And even though we don't agree about season 8, I'm still a fan of yours, and we'll forever be a fan. So,
families fight, man. Families fight.
Nobody wins when the family feuds. That's what Jay-Z said.
That's it. Come on.
So look, man. Again, when you got something upcoming, man, hit us up, and you can come talk about it for a whole hour, 2 hours, however long you need, man. We rocking with you until we can't. So thank you.
Tell them. You know what? I need to put it out there. I started Instagram like when you messaged me. I've only started Instagram about 2 months ago or something like that. So get on me on Instagram. I've only just started my account. I need to get it going, and I'll be back.
We got you. Oh yeah, we got you.
Matter of fact, what is it? It's
Theo_Nate.
Let's put it out there so everybody can, can
I might need to double check that. Is that mine? I might have to double check it. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah, that's me.
So hey, y'all heard that my man said he's trying to get his IG weight up. So y'all make sure y'all go follow him at, you see it scrolling across the screen there, but at Theo_Nate. And let's get him up there, man.
And we'll post this on we'll post highlights of it on our Instagram and tag you. So
we'll
definitely.
Especially the part where you say they can get them hands. We gonna let them know.
We.
Do you know what it is, right? Yeah,
we definitely got that. Yeah, and of course, all the women are saying following. So whatever.
Yeah, you got.
Fuck.
You got a couple dudes.
Like, they don't fucking follow me.
Like, maybe.
I've been on the goddamn show for years, so it's all good. It's all good.
You sound a little salty, man. You sound a little salty, but
no, I'm good. I'm good. I'll live.
Well, yeah, man. Again, thank you for stopping by. We look forward to talking to you again.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the audience, once again, Mr. Theo Nate, aka Cousin Laenor.
Come on, say it again.
Cousin Laenor Targaryen.
Thank you for having me, man. I've had a blast.
Thank you. Man. This was awesome. Thank you, Nate.
All right, y'all.
Thank you, Theo.
Y'all have a good one. And we'll see y'all Sunday night for the recap.